I'm so proud to have you all join me here, coming from a lot of different backgrounds, a lot of different experiences. So, as we get started and we dive right in, I think we should start at the very beginning of what your first experience was with digital marketing, perhaps what channel you first explored, and what you learned from that experience. Katrina, I'll start with you. When digital marketing, when that term comes to mind, what's the first channel you really think of?
Well, for me, it's Instagram, but I have to be honest, I did start over on Facebook because I started my business 17 years ago. I own a professional organizing business. And so Instagram wasn't around 17 years ago. And so I think it was like MySpace back then or something. And so that's what and also YouTube was coming around hot then. So for me, when I first started out, it was all about just kind of getting those reviews, getting on whatever social media platform it was. It was more into Facebook at the time. But right now, I'll just skip to current day. I lean heavily into Instagram marketing and my Instagram presence, building my personal brand and also my brand for my company as well. And it's just all kind of together in one. When I first started out, I was really marketing just my business services and, just doing a lot of before and after pictures. And as the social tapestry has changed over the years, it's really all about these short form videos and stories and just getting into my actual life. Like, what coffee am I drinking? What am I drinking it out of? I have chickens, like all these other kind of little aspects that kind of bring me into connecting with my followers on a more human level and getting them to like, know, and trust me and my business. So they'll want to do business with me in the future. So Instagram is where I really am these days.
And Ethan, I want to come to you next, kind of on that same sort of question of what your first exposure is, because now, as I said in the intro, doing the Building a Furniture Brand podcast, you do a lot of different media type things. But what was the kind of the first channel you were really able to harness in on?
Really, the first reason I went into social media was for my furniture company that I started in 2008, and to try and get that brand out there into the world. And as that developed into more and more things like the podcast or event hosting or just brand development in general, I really also leaned heavily on Instagram, because I felt like when I started out, furniture is a very visual medium that people want to see that. And then growing off of that, from trying to get customers, I also found an entire community of like-minded people that was incredibly valuable for me throughout my social media journey and through the different businesses that I've had, where you get into a room, quote unquote, with all these like-minded people. They could be across the world, but they have similar goals, and having those similar goals helps to expand your network and helps to get you on the same page. So it's been incredibly helpful for both those reasons.
And Tamisha, Ethan mentioned about building community, and I know you on YouTube, a pretty strong community there. And when you start building a following, right? What sort of activities or initiatives help start to boost that following and really start to build a community? Obviously, you want to connect, make sure you're real. That's really where community starts. But if you're looking to kind of boost your social media following or boost your community connections, what sort of activities or initiatives, Tamisha, do you focus on?
So it's all about building your engagement with your audience. For me, it's in the beginning, it started with doing a lot of Facebook Lives where my followers could interact with me live and ask questions. Now, I don't do as many Facebook Lives, but I still try and do different types of platforms that are live with Instagram. And I do a lot of stories. I ask a lot of questions. And when I ask a lot of questions on my social platforms, it allows my followers it engages my followers so that they'll prompt a response and we can begin some sort of dialogue. Because nowadays, when you're talking to someone on the internet, it's a little different. So you just have to change the view in which you are used to communicating with others.
And Zach, a lot of, we talk about following, talk about communities for business owners. perhaps even before they get there, they're talking about getting paying customers, right? About making that conversion from the following they're building, the fan base that they're building. When you think about that conversion from the digital marketing space, is there something that comes to mind right away of, if you're focusing on this element with all your digital marketing platforms, this is something that's really going to start creating that funnel that's turning them into paying customers. When I talk about conversion, what's coming to mind when those topics come up?
Well, so I mean, definitely a little bit of what everybody said in terms of, creating that just general awareness and community with people so that you're staying kind of top of mind. For my business specifically, it's basically slow decisions that people make. So by positioning yourself as someone who's knowledgeable in the space and building that engagement with people slowly over time, it sort of builds that trust. So definitely it comes from, having a lot of engagement on social media, but our main tools, and especially what we started with, was the Google My Business listing, was the website, in terms of like the digital space to really have a touchstone where people could go focus, learn more about us, and then reach out to us and eventually build that connection.
It's pretty interesting. It's the first time really we brought up just your own website, right? Which sometimes, you go back 10 years ago, that'd be the first things that people are really kind of railing about. Ethan, the balance between having a strong website, but then also, having a connection. I know you in particular, you've been really good at kind of cultivating your reputation across different platforms. Is there a sort of connectivity that we should look for between, your social presence and your website? How do you make sure that your reputation translates across all those platforms?
Well, that's a really good point, because your website is, like you said, very, very important. And that's where everybody should start, because that is your business card. That is your safe place that anyone can go to, and you can control exactly what everybody sees there. When you go out onto social media, you can't control the amount of followers you get. You can't control the likes. You can't control the comments and what people are putting out there. But on your website, that is an incredibly safe space for you to be able to show exactly what you want about your company. And for going through all different platforms and expanding your reach through there, I really like to tell people that, yes, it's great. All press is good press, where if everybody is seeing your name all over, yes, that's great. But you really want to focus on one or two core channels that you can really get your message out. And if you can focus on those and get those really to where you want, then you can branch out. But don't branch out. And it's better to be great on a couple platforms than mediocre on all of them.
Yeah, I mean, you certainly want to have a presence everywhere, right? So wherever someone might be searching or kind of looking for you, you want to make sure to be there. But perhaps having that one that really drives people and gives them an idea of who you are, then that's obviously going to rise in rankings, be more discoverable. And Katrina, I find Instagram kind of the most interesting because, it started off very much as kind of a photo sort of app, and it's really become this engagement platform, with reels and stories and so much different diversity of content there, that a lot of people are prioritizing Instagram now as kind of their main social feed. It used to be Facebook for a long time.
And Instagram is trying to prioritize Instagram as well by, going up head to head with TikTok, and also asking their content creators to just create more short form video. Like even right now, I've got this thing called the Reels Play bonuses, and I'm making money with the views, from my Reels on Instagram. And so it's just people are wanting you to be over on Instagram. And I think TikTok's an amazing place to be right now, especially for growth. And that's one of our goals for 2022 is getting over on TikTok too, because like you said, you have to kind of you do have to put some energy into one platform first, social media wise, before you kind of just do sprinkling a little bit all over the place, because the tendency is when you do a little bit here and there, you can't be consistent in one platform and grow your following. So you want to pick one, for some of it's YouTube, for me, it's Instagram. And now I've got a good base of about 50,000 followers there. And now I'm moving over to TikTok, repurposing some of my stuff, but really looking and seeing like, well, how is TikTok different than Instagram, and really playing into that and seeing the audience there versus the audience over on Instagram as well. So yeah, it's important. It is it's you showing up in your community every day. And it's the way that I build connections. I've gotten in magazines from it. I've, just gotten interviews, different podcasts, stuff like that, just because people can get to know me through that social platform.
And once they get to know you, they become a little bit more interested, and that's probably where they end up landing on your website. And Zach, I'll go back to you kind of on the website front in that sense. If you want to include, more on your site, but obviously the goal is to help improve your sales, what do people kind of get bogged down and maybe they just avoid doing when it comes to putting things on their website? Because sometimes you see websites where there's so much thrown at it, you can tell they're trying everything. We think we know the basis of, having a great reputation, having some social proof, making sure your website, is clear and concise. But is there anything that you'd love to tell people, you need to avoid doing this on your website because it's not really helping you close sales?
Yeah. So, I mean, one thing that I always look at in terms of, as a general contractor, we actually use other people's websites as a good tool, to gauge new subcontractors that we're looking for if there's a new project that we're working on. And one thing that's always a huge red flag to me, obviously, is the under construction banner. So having a website showing up, being present is obviously, important in what we're talking about. But having stock photography is a huge red flag. So I feel like a lot of people would rather, sort of put on this facade of having these beautiful projects that they didn't actually complete, that are easy to, someone who's been visiting a lot of websites to see, well, all these guys have the picture of the same kitchen because it was the first one that showed up in the stock photography file. So I think that's definitely one thing to avoid, and keeping the landing page like super clean, super simple and easy to digest, and authentic to what your brand is and who you are is like hugely important.
Yeah, Tamisha, I'm sure authenticity is huge for you, obviously, as someone from the DIY space, right? It's as authentic as it gets.
It's very
Authenticity
important
on your website certainly is going to convert, sales. It's really going to help bring people in and give them that feeling of trust. Anything else that you love to see on a really well done website?
Well, like what Zach said, it's very important that your website is clean and easy to navigate. I hate going onto a website and you have all these different areas, but you can never figure out exactly where you're trying to go when you're trying to find something. So it's very important to just take a step back and look at your website. And one of the things that I found out when I created my website back in 2013 now, over the years, it helps to have another set of eyes review my website and give me tips on what would help it look and flow better. You want to make sure that the buttons where you want your followers to click first are at the top. And you also want to consider how your website will look on a mobile app, because most people view websites on their phone.
I just wanted to piggyback. I wanted to piggyback on one thing about websites. You want to have minimal barrier to entry. If people have to click multiple times to get to you, you need to make your phone number, like people, let's face it, people make calls while they're driving. And so if people are interested, they looked your website up or they went to Instagram, pulled over, went to that number needs to be connected in blue so that when they tap it, it calls you right away. I can't tell you how many times I see a bad website where you literally have to like screenshot it, type it into your phone, and then call. It's like that please don't do that. And then the other thing too is have a free consult or whatever your free offer is. If it's signing up for your newsletter, have that right at the top. You don't want to have a whole bunch of pop-ups, because then people start to not trust you, as they're like, this person just wants to get my email so they can spam me. But you want to have it, available enough to somebody that you can capture that, so that even if the person's not going to purchase from you right away, there's a way for you to get connected with them, get them on your email list, and start to build that relationship over time digitally.
You definitely heard that professional organizer coming through there, talking about everything being clear, concise, and having it
organized. Get that site organized.
And Ethan, that it seems like a no-brainer, right? That people want to come and not be inundated and not be all, overwhelmed by what comes together. Because again, what should shine through everything we've talked about in digital marketing is who you are, right? And I think we're going to get to in a moment about, your your rankings and your online listings and things like that. But I want to just touch one more time, if we could, about like the authenticity and about how you really are displaying yourself, because in social, it seems quite easy. It's called social media. You think about presenting yourself. But on websites, I feel like people get bogged down in services and things like that, that they often forget to kind of make sure they're introducing who they are. Or am I off on that point? If you really want to convert sales, is it just about getting right to it? What's your thought on how much you should show of kind of your company, who you are, your story, versus kind of getting down to the nitty gritty and just, hey, here's what we're offering?
Yeah. You know, I think that really depends on what type of company you are and how you want to position yourself. If you're going high end, middle, low, and the type of company that you are and the industry that you're in. But a great point that was brought up earlier was having other people look at your site and having other people, I'll take that a step further, and having other people look at your social media and give you feedback, because yes, you want to be authentic. Yes, you want to put yourself forward, but yourself might not necessarily reflect to everybody else. And yes, that's great if you're trying to build your brand as a person and you want people to see you as a person. But if you're trying to build your brand as a business, sometimes you have to look beyond just yourself. You have to appeal to a lot of people that might not think directly like you do about how you would show yourself on social media. So a great point that was brought up, and I will second that, is always have other people check your work. It's like double checking on a project where you should have two sets of eyes on it to make sure it's finished. That should be your social media and your web presence in general, where you have other people checking it, because you can forget things, or you can leave things out, or you can think that you're coming off in one way. But if 9 out of 10 other people think that it's a different way, then you should listen to those people.
But also don't just have like your friend check your website. Have somebody that is doing really, really well check your website, like that has the website that you wish you had or something too. I think it's such a good point to have somebody double check it. Just make sure it's not, just a person that's so close to you that they're going to be like your fan no matter what, is what I mean.
Or even beyond that, your customers who got you through your website, who contacted you through your website, people who went with you and people who didn't necessarily go with you in the end. If you reach out and you speak with them and say, what drove you to my website to choosing me, or what made you not choose me? And sometimes that can be a difficult conversation, but any bit of information you get from that, you can use that to further your brand and the way you put yourself out there to people.
Absolutely. And that's one of the great things about these online communities, right? Is that you can go, say, within an industry Facebook group and talk to other business owners just like yours and have them evaluate your website, right? Talk about what's worked for them, what hasn't. But then also, through your social, through your website, through all your communications, you've created a fan base, right? You have a passionate, loyal following of customers. They would gladly help you make sure and like, hey, this would work for me, or I do find this difficult, or when I first hired you, it was really hard to find your number. Your reviews got me, but I really wish right off the top I knew where to dial. A lot of things we're talking about is about building these platforms and making this presence. But all right, so I have my website. I'm working on my socials. I've submitted the project, so to speak. How am I grading myself? So, Zach, I'll go to you first. What do you look for to determine, are my digital marketing efforts working? How are you measuring success? What sort of either, metrics are you looking for in particular, or what are key indicators for you that your digital marketing efforts are showing success?
So one of the core metrics that we like to track, it's simple. It's a little bit, gritty, maybe DIY. We like it because it's free and pretty simple to figure out. Is we look at how many people are viewing our Google business listing versus how many people are visiting our website, and then sort of deducing the amount of people that actually convert and fill out a contact form to contact us to go ahead with looking at starting out a project. So by seeing how many eyes land on us versus how many people actually, either pick up the phone or fill out that contact form to get a hold of us, we sort of get to see, are we presenting ourselves in a way that people who are looking for our services are saying, yes, these are the guys, I want to go with them. So it's a little bit of a like I said, gritty way to do it, but I think it seems to work really well. And it seems to, as those views scale, it seems to be pretty easy to track. It seems to be a reliable indicator.
And you brought up the Google Business Profile and the Google My Business. Obviously, your online listings across the board. Tamisha, when you look to measure success in the digital marketing space, I'll ask kind of bluntly, how important do you see rankings and listings and kind of where you're spacing? Because there's one school of thought, perhaps an older school of thought, that that's truly what matters. But now kind of in the digital revolution with things getting much quicker and people doing more defined searches, so not just searching blank near me, but actually looking up businesses, looking up social profiles. I'm interested to how you measure success when it comes to your online listings or really all your efforts across the board.
So I still look at my Google ranking. It's not the number one priority. My number one priority is more or less looking at the trend of page views and unique visitors to my site over a 12-month period. And also to see how long they're staying on my site. For me, the goal is to for a visitor to stay on my site as long as possible. So I want to see them viewing multiple pages. And also I want to see where they're leaving my website. If they're leaving my website to go to resources that I'm recommending, products that I'm representing, these are the things that I'm tracking for my success. If those numbers aren't going up or if they're stagnant, I need to make some changes to figure out how to improve those numbers.
And Katrina, we spent a good amount of time on social. A lot of times there's some vanity metrics there. People might get caught up in likes and comments, but is there any metrics that you could look through your social media channels to determine of how much you're kind of getting that conversion or how much you're really funneling that traffic? What do you look for first?
You want to take a look at your analytics. You need to have obviously your business account set up. You can't do this with a personal account. You go on the back end and you look at, how are you doing with your reach. So your reach is like how many people are able to come across your stuff. So you want your reach to be big, but really likes are not what matter the most. Really what's going to push out your content the most is people sharing. You want to make shareable content. And if your content's not doing well, it's your content's the problem. So it's not like you're shadow banned or blocked or something like that. It's like you need to just get better at making good, shareable, valuable content. So I look at the saves and I look at the shares first on my posts or my videos. And then that really gives me an idea and a pulse on what my community is wanting. Sometimes I might have a good idea for a post, but it's just something within my niche that nobody might care about. So I'm constantly looking back and seeing, what did well and looking at the back end of my analytics. And then also I look and I track every lead that I get from a different source. So for instance, when we get a lead in my DMs and or somebody fills out my form for getting an estimate, you need to always have on your website, where did that person find you? Was it Instagram? Was it a friend? Was it from Google? So we get to know, and there's a drop down and people can choose where they found out about my services. And then from that, we store that information. We actually use something called Monday.com, and then we run reports. And so I can see, okay, 45% of my business is coming from Instagram, another 30% is coming from another source, Google, and so on and so forth. So it's really important to track all that stuff. And if you haven't started to track it yet, it's never too late. Just start tracking it tomorrow. You can find a lot out about your business and how to do better. And it also helps with goal setting.
And once you kind of get a handle on those numbers and on those metrics, you really can maybe start to figure out which channels are working best for you. Ethan, I know that you've kind of taken, some of your content, either repurposed or started sharing it across different avenues and different platforms. Do you think, for example, like for home service businesses, that there's certain platforms that maybe are underutilized? Or do you think that really any platform, if done properly, can benefit a business?
I think that any platform, if done properly, can definitely benefit a business. And again, it comes down to what you want to put out there in the world. I think, and I view social media as this free billboard that can at any time of the day be in literally everybody's home. They're looking at it at any point in the day. And so why would I necessarily want to just broadcast my message to the person next door or the local person who I could gain their, you know, business with word of mouth or with local press or something like that. I look at it more as a bigger picture thing where I want to build a brand, and I want to take, and I don't look at it where a follower necessarily equals a sale. I look at it where a follower equals brand building, which can put me put me in a magazine, cover of a magazine, or on an interview, or as a speaker at some place. And that can then turn into your customers and people paying money for your services. So I look at it not as necessarily a one-to-one brand followers to sales. I look at it as followers to brand building, then to sales.
I love that. Now, as we get towards the end of our panel discussion here, I always like to kind of match where society is going. The quick takeaway. So I'm going to give you all, I'll go around the panel here, and I want your 10 to 15 seconds. We're going to keep it very brief for that ADHD crowd like myself out there. And if there's one takeaway that they should take from everything we said today, that's what I want to hear. I'll go first, take off the pressure. For me, it really looks like reputation matters, displaying yourself, but really being able to translate that reputation across all your digital marketing platforms is really going to help you build trust. It'll build sales. It'll really help your business grow. Zach, I introduced you last, so I'll go to you first. Your 10 to 15 seconds of what people should take away from our panel today.
I would say, well, it touches a little bit on what everybody was saying, is that it's never too late to start. I'm a little bit older than the average person that, people would stereotypically think is on social media. But I think it's never too late to start. Like Katrina said, if you haven't started today, start tomorrow, probe, explore, and, be yourself.
Tamisha, 10 to 15 seconds. What should someone take away from this panel?
Video is king and Instagram isn't dead. Meta isn't dead.
There you go. There you go. Ethan, coming to you next. 10 to 15 seconds. What are we taking away?
It's all about brand building, because yes, you can build up your company, and that is one avenue you can go. But if you build up a brand, whether that's yourself or your company, and it's bigger than just you, then all work trickles back in. And it might not be the work that you think that you were looking to get, but it's going to come back in and reflect on you if you've built a good enough brand.
Katrina, it's IG story time. Gives that 10 to 15 seconds of what we should take away from this panel.
Okay, I know it well. So it hasn't been touched on a whole bunch, but here's what I want to hit home. This is the time to market your business digitally. Okay. And if you are not doing it, you are not running your business successfully. This is what's happening in this day and age. So don't just go and hire somebody or an office manager to run your social media and your digital marketing. It needs to be you. Show up for your audience. You're the one that needs to get in the DMs, respond back to people. It's in the long haul. You will build your brand over time, like Ethan was talking about. And so just make sure that you're getting after it. This is part of your work. Digital marketing is your job. It's not something that you're trying to find a little bit of time to do here and there. This needs to be your focus for 2022 energy.
There you go. Well, hey, your notebook has to be absolutely full with everything that our panelists just dropped there. Thank you so much, Katrina, Tamisha, Ethan, and Zach, for joining us here on Digital Marketing That Sells. I'm Sean Hill, the Community Director at Nice Job. I was your moderator today. And thank you for joining us here on Jobber Professional Development Day.